Let's get straight to the truth of the matter. Walk into any local gun shop and you will hear the exact same fairy tale echoing off the display cases. Some counter-commando will try to convince you that if you do not drop $2,000 on a custom carry piece, you are gambling with your life. I am telling you, from decades of pulling triggers and teaching defensive concepts, that is a complete fabrication. Welcome to 2026, folks. We are sitting squarely in the platinum era of firearms manufacturing. The defensive handgun market is absolutely saturated with reliable, flat-shooting, and ruggedly dependable hardware. And the best part? You do not need to max out a credit card to put one in your holster. I am not talking about the bargain bin trash that chokes on the second magazine. I am talking about dedicated, purpose-built life insurance policies. These are primary fighting tools that I would trust to defend my family in a dimly lit gas station parking lot off Interstate 95. Today, we are diving deep into 7 9mm systems that completely shatter the correlation between price tag and performance. From the most modern micro-compact blasters to the proven duty-sized workhorses, these are the undeniable budget kings. Let us break them down. Number 7. The Taurus G3X. All right, hold your fire in the comments section and hear me out. I know exactly what the brand snobs are murmuring right now. But if you strip away the logo and just look at the mechanics, Taurus executed a brilliantly tactical concept here. They took a highly concealable short slide, which is an absolute dream for appendix inside the waistband carry, and they pinned it to a full-sized frame. It is the classic commander-style footprint. Concealment up top, maximum leverage at the bottom. What does that mean for you? It means you are packing 15 rounds of 9mm, and your entire hand actually locks onto the grip. No dangling pinky fingers. When you are pressing off hot +P defensive ammunition, having that full purchase keeps the muzzle flat and your follow-up shots incredibly fast. I have personally run these pistols into the ground. They will digest the nastiest, dirtiest steel-cased imports. They will cycle the cheapest aluminum training ammo, and they will flawlessly feed premium Hornady critical defense loads all day long. Is the fit and finish going to rival a bespoke 1911? Absolutely not. But for a price point well under $300, you are getting an absolute tank. The stippling is aggressive enough to anchor the gun during rapid fire without ripping up your concealment garments. The trigger has some distinct travel, but it hits a hard wall and breaks cleanly. And the reset is undeniably fast. For an entry-level defensive tool, the G3X demands your attention. Number 6. The Ruger Max 9. Ruger surveyed the explosive micro-compact landscape and decided they could deliver top-tier features for working-class money. This pistol is incredibly sleek. It mimics the ultra-thin profile of those legacy single-stack 9s we used to carry 15 years ago. But through sheer engineering brilliance, they managed to stagger 10 to 12 rounds inside that slender grip. That is serious defensive capability in a package that completely vanishes under a standard summer t-shirt. But the absolute game changer here is the upper assembly. Most manufacturers force you to pay a steep aftermarket premium to get your slide milled for an optic. Not Ruger. The Max 9 rolls out of the factory floor completely optics ready. Unscrew the cover plate, torque down your favorite micro red dot, and you have a modernized defensive platform. And if you prefer running iron sights, you are not left out in the cold. Ruger equips this with a screaming bright tritium fiber optic front sight right out of the box. It practically guides your eye to the target in low-light environments. I wore one of these daily for a solid evaluation period. Is it snappy? Of course it is. You cannot defeat the physics of a lightweight, micro-sized 9mm. But if you apply proper clamping force and lock out your wrists, it manages recoil beautifully. It runs without a hiccup. It hides flawlessly. And you can usually scoop one up for right around 400 crisp bills. That is a tremendous amount of defensive equity. Number 5. The Canik TP9 Elite Subcompact. If you have spent any time around my range, you know I am fiercely protective of trigger quality. And the trigger on this Canik is straight up witchcraft. Straight from the factory, this fire control group absolutely humiliates handguns that command double the retail price. You take up the slack, you hit a defined concrete wall, and the break feels exactly like snapping a dry twig. The reset is incredibly short, giving you a tactile and audible click. You know the exact microsecond that striker is prepped to launch the next piece of lead. Looking at the payload, you are carrying 12 rounds with the flush-fit magazine, or you can bump it up to 15 rounds by clicking in the extended base pad. That throws you right into duty gun capacity metrics. The ergonomics are heavily contoured and lock your hand right up under the bore axis. Plus, they ship it with interchangeable backstraps to dial in your length of pull. Now, it is definitely a thicker pistol compared to the ultra slims on the market, but that extra mass is actually your best friend when you are dumping strings of fire, because it absorbs the recoil impulse like a sponge. The slide machining is aggressive, the coating withstands holstering abuse, and yes, it is cut for an optic. I have dragged these through the mud, run them bone dry, and they just keep putting rounds on steel. With a street price routinely sitting below $450, passing this up is almost criminal. Number 4. The Smith & Wesson M&P9 Shield EZ. This is a highly specialized piece of defensive equipment, and the industry desperately needed it. Smith & Wesson recognized a critical gap in the market. Not every civilian defender has the grip strength of an elite tactical operator. Whether you are dealing with arthritis, recovering from an injury, or simply lack the hand strength to rack a heavy striker spring, the Shield EZ completely eliminates that barrier to entry. The slide velocity required to chamber a round is remarkably light. You can practically manipulate the action with a thumb and a single finger. They also completely redesigned the magazine loading process. They added these brilliant external assist tabs, allowing you to pull the follower down without destroying your thumbs on the last few rounds. Mechanically, this is an internally hammer-fired system, which translates to a remarkably smooth and consistent trigger press. You are looking at an 8 or 10 round capacity limit. Does it win the numbers game? No, it does not. But 8 meticulously placed rounds of 9mm is infinitely better than leaving your protection up to chance. Out on the firing line, it shoots like a dream. The recoil energy is heavily mitigated, making it an absolute powerhouse for new shooters to build confidence with. Sitting right in that $400 to $450 neighborhood, it stands alone as the most universally accessible self-defense tool available today. Number 3. The Sig Sauer P365. Let us pay some respect because this is the firearm that literally shifted the tectonic plates of the concealed carry world. Before Sig dropped this bombshell, every gun owner faced a brutal compromise. You either sacrificed capacity for a small gun, or you dressed around a massive double stack. The engineers at Sig absolutely nuked that old way of thinking. They engineered a proprietary, tapered magazine that shoehorned 10 rounds of 9mm into a chassis smaller than most traditional pocket pistols. It single-handedly rendered the old single-stack market obsolete. When you punch it out on target, the ergonomics just make sense. It points like an extension of your index finger, and the bore axis sits incredibly low in the web of your hand. And because the civilian market adopted it so heavily, the aftermarket ecosystem is massive. Different grip modules, customized slides, trigger shoes. You can tailor this platform to your exact specifications. During rapid fire, it demands strong fundamentals, but it tracks perfectly straight. Once you find your cadence, you can print one-hole groups at 10 yards effortlessly. It has earned its reputation by feeding hollow points reliably in the harshest conditions. You will be dropping a little more cash for this one, typically resting right at the $500 threshold. But you are investing in the exact blueprint that forced every other manufacturer to play catch-up. It remains the undisputed benchmark. Number 2. The Springfield Armory Hellcat. If Sig fired the opening shots of the micro-compact war, Springfield dropped the heavy artillery. They hit the scene incredibly hard, delivering an ultra-concealable package that swallows 11 rounds flush and 13 rounds with the extension. That is a massive volume of suppression fire for a weapon system that easily drops into a Kydex pocket rig. Make no mistake, the Hellcat was engineered specifically for close-quarters kinetic problem-solving. The polymer grip features what they call an adaptive texture. It feels like fine grit sandpaper that chemically bonds to your palm when you apply pressure. If your hands are soaked in sweat, rain, or worse in a defensive encounter, that gun is staying locked in your grip. The iron sight picture is combat optimized. You get a glowing, high-visibility tritium dot up front, sitting perfectly inside a tactical U-notch in the rear. Your brain automatically forces focus onto that front post, and frankly, you need to buy the OSP model. Slapping a red dot on this slide elevates its capabilities tenfold. I have logged thousands of trigger pulls on the Hellcat platform. They are absolute bulldogs. Springfield notoriously tortured one through a 20,000-round endurance test, and it never lost its fighting spirit. For right around $500, you are walking away with a battle-hardened micro that dominates the capacity charts. Number 1. The Glock 19 Gen 5. You all knew exactly where this countdown was ending. It is fundamentally impossible to discuss duty-grade, cost-effective 9mm without bowing to the undisputed heavyweight champion. The Glock 19 is the absolute standard that every single modern sidearm is judged against. I always compare it to a heavy-duty diesel work truck. It lacks the flashy aesthetics. It is not going to win a beauty pageant, but it will reliably cycle rounds in the most unforgiving environments on planet Earth. The Gen 5 evolution introduced some massive combat upgrades. They finally shaved off those restrictive finger grooves, allowing the frame to fit every possible hand geometry. They flared out the magazine well, making dynamic combat reloads vastly more forgiving when your adrenaline is spiked. They dropped in an ambidextrous slide stop for the wrong-handed shooters. And the new Glock marksman barrel significantly tightened up the mechanical accuracy at distance. It holds 15 rounds standard. It is robust enough to run outside the waistband on a tactical belt, yet streamlined enough to vanish under a polo shirt. The aftermarket support is literally boundless. If you can dream up a modification, someone machines a part for it. Whether you hunt down a law enforcement trade-in or buy it factory fresh for around $550, you are acquiring a weapon system heavily relied upon by Tier 1 operators and street cops worldwide. It represents the best return on investment in the firearms industry, bar none. All right, let us wrap this up. Those are 7 incredibly capable defensive tools that leave your wallet intact. Whether you secure the budget-focused Taurus G3X or you invest in the battle-proven Glock 19, understand this one critical reality. The most vital purchase you will ever make is not the firearm itself, it is the training ammunition. A $3,000 custom race gun carried by an amateur is nothing but a liability, but a simple $300 striker-fired pistol, wielded by a civilian who puts in dry fire and range time every single week, is an absolute force of nature. Find the grip angle that matches your anatomy, respect your budget, and get to work on the firing line. If you found value in this breakdown, do me a massive favor. Smash that like button to help defeat the algorithm. Hit subscribe so you are dialed in for the next ballistic deep dive, and drop a comment down below right now. I want to know exactly what system you are carrying inside the waistband today. I read every single one of your comments. Stay vigilant, train with purpose, and I will see you on the range.